Most people don't understand this, but there comes a moment in every thinking human's life when you realize something terrifying. You are not exhausted because life is hard. You are exhausted because you've been living inside a world that demands your presence, but never once teaches you the sacred power of your absence. They told you the ideal human being must love company, must enjoy crowds, must be forever social, forever available, forever smiling, forever performing. They told you solitude is loneliness. Silence is a problem. Wanting your own company is a sign of emotional failure. And you believed them. You tried, didn't you? You opened the doors. You became the friendly one. You let people walk in and out of your space, touch the air you breathe, rearrange the energy in your home, interrupt the alchemy of your inner world. You laughed when you didn't feel like laughing, hosted when you didn't feel like hosting, entertained when your spirit begged to rest. But deep inside, there was always a whisper, a small, strange, ancient voice. Something sacred is being stolen from you. There are people who recharge by being seen, and then there are people who recharge by disappearing. You perhaps are one of the latter, not broken, not antisocial, but tuned to a frequency the modern world has forgotten, the frequency of inner space, stillness, and the original silence consciousness was born in. If you've ever felt your soul flinch at the sound of the doorbell, if your heart sinks at the idea of unexpected company, if you feel a strange heaviness when someone says, "I'll come over," understand this beautifully disturbing truth. You are not rejecting people. You are protecting your existence because your home is not walls and furniture. Your home is you. It is the boundary where the world ends and your inner universe begins. It is the place where the masks fall and the real face breathes again. And when you let someone into that space, you are not simply opening a door. You are granting entry to your soul's territory. Society never warns you about this. Society romanticizes social life like it's oxygen. But the mind does not grow in noise. The soul does not expand in crowds. Awakening does not happen under fluorescent lights and laughter and casual chatter. Awakening happens when the room is quiet, the world is far away, and you return to the original pulse of your own being. There are two kinds of self. The self that performs for the world, and the self that awakens when no one is watching. And the more sensitive, aware, conscious, psychologically mature you become, the less you crave the performance, not because you hate people, but because performance interrupts your evolution. Tell me, how many times have you smiled just to keep the peace? How many times have you opened your door when your soul begged for silence? How many times have you hosted conversations while your inner world was unfolding like a delicate flower and someone walked in and crushed it with small talk? You do not dislike visitors. You dislike being removed from yourself. That's the part nobody understands. The extroverted world thinks solitude is starvation. But to you, solitude is oxygen. Silence is medicine. Stillness is nourishment. The animal body needs food, but the inner being needs quiet. When someone comes into your sanctuary uninvited, it feels as though an intruder has stepped into your consciousness, disturbing the fragile architecture you are building inside. Picture this. You are assembling the puzzle of who you are. Pieces of memory, intuition, emotions, cosmic curiosity, existential questions, slowly aligning, revealing patterns, meanings, secrets. You almost see the picture forming, then suddenly, knock, knock, are you home? And the entire inner landscape shatters, the puzzle dissolves. You put on the mask again, smile, ask polite questions, bruise your awareness, just to seem normal. Tell me, is that living? Or is that spiritual suffocation disguised as politeness? Society loves to call solitude escaping. But what if solitude isn't escape? What if it's returning from the false world to the true one? returning from performance to presence, returning from noise into thought, returning to the original self you abandoned to fit into the circus of others. In every ancient culture, the individual who stepped away from noise to sit in silence was honored. The sage, the mystic, the seeker, the hermit whose lantern glowed in mountains and deserts, the one who walked away not because society rejected them, but because truth whispered to them. The modern world has no space for such beings. Today, if you crave solitude, they pathologize you. They call you distant, cold, not good with people. But the truth is, you are not here to waste your life in polite conversations. You are here to meet yourself, and here is the secret. Most people have never met themselves, and they are terrified that you have. Your comfort in solitude exposes their fear of it. Your silence threatens their noise-addicted identity. Your peace reminds them of everything inside they are avoiding. So they call you strange to protect their illusion. Yet inside you there is a wild knowing. When the door is closed, when the world cannot see you, when the only sound is your breath, you are not lonely. You are free, free from performance, free from expectations, free from the weight of being someone for others. This is not isolation, this is alignment. The more you evolve, the more solitude becomes not just a preference, but a necessity, a ritual, a sacred temple where the soul regenerates. You notice the world tires you not because humans are bad, but because human interaction requires you to fragment yourself. It forces you to step out of the deep ocean of inner being and splash in the shallow water of conversation. Some people live for shallow water. They never dive. They don't even know the ocean exists. But you are not a surface dweller. You are a diver. You explore inner oceans. You chase the currents of thought most humans never feel. You seek the mysteries hidden beneath ordinary perception. So when someone knocks at your door, when voices intrude, when laughter floods your sanctuary, it is not annoyance you feel, it is disruption, it is dissonance. It is the sacred mechanism of consciousness saying, protect your awakening. You don't need to justify this. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to apologize for it. There are souls designed for crowds and souls designed for silence. You are not meant to be everywhere. You are meant to go inward deeper than most ever dare. And every moment you honor that, you come closer to something extraordinary, something ancient souls know, and modern society has forgotten. Solitude is not where life ends, it is where life begins. And so you begin to notice something strange about life. It never forces you to wake up. It simply waits patiently, like an ancient oracle seated at the edge of time, watching to see if you will discover yourself, or drift through existence hypnotized by the noise of civilization. Most people choose the hypnosis. It's easier, it's softer, it asks for nothing except your life, because waking up is not comfort. Waking up is fire. It burns the false layers, the borrowed beliefs, the artificial identities you collected just to be accepted by a world that never truly accepted itself. You peel away illusions and the ego trembles, begging you to stop. But something deeper inside whispers, go further. This is the moment every soul encounters. The crossroads where you decide what kind of human you will be, the follower or the seeker, the dreamer or the awakened, the one who repeats society's script or the one who starts writing their own. And if you dare to take that step, if you dare to question the invisible patterns shaping your behavior, something miraculous happens. The world does not shrink, you expand. Your awareness stretches like a horizon opening to a new sun. Suddenly you see the machinery behind culture, the frantic grasping behind ambition, the loneliness hidden inside the pursuit of perfection. You see how people chase applause because they are terrified of encountering silence. You see how they wear strength like armor because they don't want anyone to see how fragile they feel inside. You begin to see the world as it is, a playground of frightened children wearing adult masks, clinging to identities built from fear instead of truth. And instead of judging them, you feel compassion because you have been them. You still are them at times. Awakening does not make you superior. It simply makes you honest, and honesty, real, raw honesty, is the rarest treasure in human experience. Most people are terrified of it. They will hide behind careers, behind relationships, behind entertainment, behind spiritual language even. Anything to avoid meeting themselves in the mirror of truth. Because when you meet yourself without distortion, without filters, you face the most dangerous revelation. You are responsible for the life you are living. No more blaming fate. No more blaming family. No more blaming society. You are the architect. You are the witness. You are the dreamer dreaming this reality into being. And once you see that, once you feel the weight of your own creative power, you can no longer live as a passenger in your own existence. The steering wheel appears in your hands. The fog lifts. The excuses evaporate like mist under the rising sun. And suddenly you realize something radical. Freedom is not given to you. Freedom is claimed by you, not in rebellion, but in remembrance. You recall the part of you that existed before the world named you, before language carved reality into categories, before fear became your teacher. And you realize that your life was never a search for meaning. It was a process of remembering meaning, rediscovering the sacredness you once knew instinctively before you were taught to forget. And as this remembering unfolds, a strange strength appears, quiet but unshakable. You no longer need validation to breathe. You no longer chase approval like oxygen. You begin to live not from desire but from presence, not from hunger but from clarity. You stop looking outward for answers that were carved into your very being before you were born. Then a new perception forms. Life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. Every second is an invitation. Every emotion a doorway. Every challenge a mirror showing you the shape of your own inner structure. The universe does not punish or reward, it reflects, it reveals. It rearranges reality in response to your frequency, your intention, your state of consciousness. This is why two people can live the same day, yet inhabit completely different worlds. One sees chaos, the other sees possibility. One sees burden, the other sees growth. One survives, the other awakens. And this awakening does not make life easier at first. It destabilizes everything false. It dissolves illusions, and illusions do not leave quietly. The ego will resist. Old emotional patterns will cling. Familiar suffering will seduce you, whispering, "Come back to who you were. It was safer here, but you know too much now. You have seen behind the curtain. You have tasted a freedom deeper than comfort. You have felt the pull of your authentic self rising like a forgotten God awakening inside your bones. So you continue, step by trembling step, into the unknown, because there is no going back. The path may be steep, the darkness may stretch long, the solitude may shake you, but something sacred guides you. An inner compass older than memory, a signal calling you toward what you were always meant to become, and gradual. Why? Something shifts. Peace stops being a destination and becomes your foundation. Creativity flows not from effort but from alignment. You stop forcing life because you realize life does not respond to force. It responds to presence. You no longer cling to control. You cooperate with the mysterious intelligence that breathes galaxies and wildflowers into existence. People around you feel the difference. They may not understand it, but they sense it. Your silence speaks louder than their noise. Your stillness unsettles their restlessness. Your calm becomes a mirror in which their chaos can no longer hide. Some will be drawn to you. Some will fear you. Some will try to pull you back into their comforting prisons. But you no longer negotiate with your own light to make others comfortable in their darkness. You don't dim your fire. You simply walk forward. And those meant to rise will rise with you, because awakening is not a solitary path, it is a signal, a silent invitation to every sleeping soul around you. Not through preaching, not through superiority, but through being, through embodying a truth so alive that it reminds others of their own forgotten beauty. And as you walk this path, You realize the greatest shift of all. The world was never your enemy. The world was your teacher. Every wound was a lesson. Every loss was a doorway. Every fear was a map leading you back to your true self. Back to the awareness that has always been here, watching through your eyes, waiting for you to remember, and now you are remembering. Not perfectly, not linearly, but undeniably, you are shedding centuries of psychological dust. You are dissolving identities passed down from ancestors who never questioned their own chains. You are rewriting the story of your consciousness not by escaping life, but by entering it fully, courageously, authentically. You don't need certainty anymore. You don't need guarantees. You don't need the path to be visible, because you have become the path. You walk not by sight, but by awareness. You trust the process because you trust yourself. And in that trust, life begins to reveal a beauty you never saw before. Not because it was absent, but because you were asleep. Now you are awakening, slowly, fiercely, irrevocably, and the world shifts with you. And as this awakening deepens, you begin to notice something even more profound. Reality does not transform in a sudden explosion of enlightenment. It changes in subtle pulses, gentle shifts, the quiet revolutions that happen inside your own awareness. The world around you remains the same, yet nothing feels the same anymore. The colors seem richer, not because reality changed, but because your perception finally learned how to see. The moments feel heavier, not with burden, but with significance, as if existence is whispering to you through every breath, every sound, every fleeting second. You start to understand that truth does not scream, it whispers. And only those who have cultivated silence within themselves can hear it. The unconscious majority seeks noise. They drown themselves in stimulation because silence threatens them with truth. But you begin to crave that stillness. Not because you wish to escape life, but because you finally recognize that stillness is where life speaks most clearly. There's a sacred dimension hidden beneath the surface of ordinary existence. Not in temples, not in scriptures, not in grand rituals, but in presence, in awareness, in the intimacy between your breath and the heartbeat of existence. You realize spirituality was never about rising above humanity. It was about sinking deeply into it, touching the raw pulse of existence with unfiltered vulnerability. The universe does not reward the armored. It reveals itself to the open. And yes, you will feel fragile at times. Awakening does not make you untouchable. It makes you deeply, profoundly touchable. You feel pain more honestly, sadness more fully, loneliness more nakedly. But with this pain comes a medicine, something the numbed world never accesses, meaning the pain becomes fuel, the uncertainty becomes a compass, the vulnerability becomes strength. You stop running from yourself. You stop running from life. You stop seeking escape and start seeking participation. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and begin shaping existence moment by moment with your own consciousness. You become the sculptor and the clay, the seeker and the found, the question and the answer unfolding within the same breath. And then something unexpected happens. You look at humanity, not from judgment, not from superiority, but from understanding. You see how people walk through life like ghosts, haunted by futures that don't exist, tortured by memories that are already dead, blind to the miracle happening right now in front of them. You want to shake them awake, to pull them into this inner light you've discovered. But you learn very quickly, awakening cannot be forced. You cannot drag someone into awareness. You can only inspire them by embodying it. So you stop trying to save everyone. You stop trying to prove anything. You stop trying to be understood. And in that surrender, a new freedom emerges. The freedom to simply exist as you are, unapologetically, without the compulsion to fit into the fragile egos of others. You realize you no longer want to debate. You want to understand. You no longer want to impress. You want to express. You no longer want to consume. You want to create. You no longer want control. You want harmony. It becomes clear the world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more real people. People who bleed honestly. People who fail with dignity. People who love without armor. People who walk into the unknown with trembling hands but unshakable hearts. And this new version of you, this conscious, aware, evolving being, begins to feel something extraordinary, belonging. Not belonging to society's expectations, not belonging to any group, ideology, or identity, but belonging to existence itself. You belong to the breath that moves through you, the sky that shelters you, the earth that carries you. You belong not as a separate individual clawing for survival, but as a conscious expression of the cosmos remembering itself through your awareness. A strange peace follows. Not a peace built on having answers, but a peace that blossoms from embracing the questions. You stop needing certainty like a crutch, because now you carry curiosity like a torch. Life becomes a journey again, wild, mysterious, unpredictable, and instead of fearing it, you feel grateful to be here, to witness, to participate. This gratitude is not the shallow gratitude preached in self-help books. It is a sacred gratitude, the kind that fills your chest until you feel like crying without reason. The kind that arises when you recognize that every breath is a gift, every moment is a miracle, and every experience, even the painful ones, is shaping your evolution. As you live from this awareness, your presence becomes magnetic, not because you try to attract anyone, but because truth naturally draws the searching hearts. You become a lighthouse, not a savior, not a preacher, just a silent beacon standing in your own light, reminding others that they have light too. You do not force awakening. You embody possibility. Life meets you differently now. Not because it changed, but because you did. Opportunities appear where walls once stood. Meaning pours into spaces where numbness once lived. People who resonate with your frequency begin appearing, not perfectly aligned, but real, deep, authentic. You find fewer people, but you find truer connections. The loneliness that once haunted you transforms into solitude, a sanctuary where your soul can breathe. And then one day you look in the mirror, not at your face, but into your own eyes, and you recognize something you hadn't seen before. It's not confidence, it's not pride, it's not ego, it is presence. It is awareness looking back at itself. A timeless witness behind the temporary identity you once mistook for your entire existence. You realize, I am not this name. I am not this role. I am not this fear, nor this desire, nor this passing storyline. I am the awareness experiencing all of this. And when that realization lands not in your mind, but in your bones, a new kind of strength rises, effortless, silent, unstoppable. A strength that does not need approval to exist. A strength that does not collapse when misunderstood. A strength rooted in something the world cannot touch. Truth. You no longer chase life, you meet it. You no longer fear change, you become it. You no longer beg for purpose, you embody it. And in that state you finally understand awakening was not the end of the journey. It was the beginning. Not a destination, but a doorway. Not an escape from life, but a deeper entrance into it. Awareness is not a finish line, it is a way of walking. So you continue forward, not as who you were, not as who the world wanted you to be, but as who you truly are, and who you are still becoming. And the beauty is, the journey never ends. The unfolding never stops. You are not here to arrive, you are here to evolve. Endlessly, consciously, courageously, one breath at a time. And with that awareness resting inside you like a quiet flame, you step again into the world. The same world you once feared, once obeyed, once tried desperately to impress. But now you enter not as a seeker begging for meaning, not as a wanderer lost in his own mind. You enter as a creator, aware that reality bends to the rhythm of your inner state. You stop asking, what will happen to me? And you start asking, what will emerge through me? This subtle shift changes everything. The universe does not respond to desperation. It responds to alignment. It does not respond to noise. It responds to coherence. When your inner world stabilizes in truth, the outer world begins to shape itself around that truth, like metal filings aligning around an invisible magnet. And people will notice, not because you tell them, but because your presence disrupts their autopilot, challenges their sleep, awakens their curiosity. You are no longer here to survive. You are here to participate in the unfolding of consciousness. And that realization can feel overwhelming at first, because now you see the responsibility that comes with awakening, not the burden to be perfect, but the calling to be present. Not to be flawless, but to be real. Not to rise above humanity, but to elevate it through your example. You begin to understand that authenticity is not an aesthetic. It is a spiritual force. When a human stands fully in their truth, without disguise, without apology, without fear, the world shifts quietly but undeniably. Most people spend their lives wearing masks because they believe the mask protects them. But all masks do is suffocate the soul beneath them. You have removed your mask, and now your face feels the wind of existence directly. It is terrifying at first to walk without armor. But soon you realize something miraculous. Nothing can pierce you because truth is not fragile. Awareness cannot be wounded. Only illusion bleeds. And slowly, the places you once shrank, you now stand tall. The conversations you once avoided, you now enter with clarity. The dreams you once doubted, you now move toward with quiet certainty. Not urgency, certainty. True confidence is not loud. It is not flamboyant or aggressive. Real confidence sits like a mountain, still, ancient, rooted, unconcerned, with the winds that pass around it, and then life tests you, not to punish you, but to refine you. The awakened path is not free from struggle. It is simply free from meaningless struggle. You no longer fight everything. You choose what is worth fighting for. And sometimes, the universe removes what you thought you needed, not as cruelty, but as liberation. At first, you resist, believing something is being taken. Later, you look back and realize something was being cleared so something true could enter. Growth rarely feels like growth while it's happening. It feels like breaking, dissolving, surrendering, shedding, stretching. It feels like the silence after a storm, when nothing looks familiar but something deep in your being whispers, yes, this is right, continue. And you do continue, not because you are certain, but because you trust. You trust the intelligence woven into existence. You trust the timing of your life. You trust the whisper inside you that says there is more depth, more awareness, more life waiting beyond fear. And as you walk this widening path, you realize the greatest transformation is not mental, it is emotional. Awakening does not kill emotion, it purifies it. You still feel sadness, but it no longer collapses you. You still feel fear, but it no longer chains you. You still feel longing, but it no longer owns you. Emotions become weather, not identity. Experiences become chapters, not definitions. You stop drowning in life and start breathing inside it. And when you breathe deeply enough, existence breathes with you. You notice synchronicities, not coincidences, but communications. Dreams become messages. Intuition becomes navigation. Life becomes dialogue instead of monologue. You no longer pray by asking, you pray by listening. You no longer meditate to escape. You meditate to meet yourself. Silence becomes a kingdom instead of a cage. And slowly, a beautiful realization emerges. You do not need anything to be complete. Not approval, not validation, not status, not perfection. You do not live to win the world. You live to experience it. You live to feel, to learn, to evolve, to remember, to love, to dissolve and reappear like a wave dancing on eternity's ocean. you realize that the most powerful thing you can ever become is fully yourself. Unapologetically, courageously, consciously yourself. Not the version trained by society, but the version whispered by the universe. The version waiting behind your ribs. The version that entered this world with innocence, curiosity, and infinite possibility. And when you reach this point, not a final destination, but a threshold, you understand something sacred. Your presence is no longer about you. It becomes a gift to others, a silent permission slip for them to awaken too. You don't preach transformation, you become it. You don't force awareness, you embody it. You don't shine to be seen, you shine to remind others of their own light. This is the quiet revolution, not changing the world by force, but changing the world by frequency. And now, this journey arrives here, to this breath, this awareness, this moment. You have walked through confusion, through doubt, through identity, through illusion. You have met shadows, faced fears, shed layers. You have broken open and begun again.
Yeah.
And now you stand at the edge of yourself, not afraid to leap, not afraid to fly, not afraid to fall, because you finally know. You are not falling. You are returning, not breaking, but remembering, not losing, but awakening. And transformation is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you were before the world taught you to forget. So let the world misunderstand you. Let them call you strange, intense, different. All evolution looks strange to those who refuse to grow. Walk your path, trust your vision, honor your awakening. Live as if your soul chose this exact moment to bloom, because it did. And now you rise, not as who you were, but as who you truly are. Not seeking light, but realizing you are light. Not chasing life, but becoming life itself in motion. You are the dreamer waking inside the dream. You are the answer hidden inside your own question. You are the universe, remembering itself through human eyes. And this is where the new story begins.